And so we come to the story diagram. It is, after all, traditional for writing tutors to introduce a diagram to illustrate plot. Do you know the sort of diagrams I mean? Here's a very famous one. This one's based on Freytag's pyramid, and we'll come back to that one in a bit. But I prefer this one. It's more of a ramp followed by a plummet. I think that's quite nice. This one is a similar idea. Up you go, wee, down the other side. This one goes along for a bit, then up, and then it kind of leaves you hanging halfway. This one's nice and colourful. This one's just a straight arrow. I have no idea what that's all about. Here we've got a staircase thing going up, wee, down we go. This one goes all the way up and down. I have no idea what that's about. This one's great. It's got a wee wibbly wobbly bit in it. I don't know what half these diagrams mean, but I am prepared to concede that there are certain features shared by most successful narratives, and people have been trying to define those features at least since Aristotle. In 1863, the German novelist Gustav Freytag conceived dramatic structure as a pyramid, and it's upon his pyramid that this diagram is based. Here, much of the story is devoted to exposition and resolution. Once upon a time, readers and spectators had more patience. At the start of Les Miserables, Victor Hugo spends tens of thousands of words introducing a bishop who drops out of the story soon after we and he meet Jean Valjean. In late modernity, however, the world has sped up and our attention spans have shortened. We want to be hooked within seconds. Many viewers will already have clicked away from this video, and you're probably thinking of doing the same, so let me get to the point. Modern narratives spend less time on setup and resolution. Everything exists within the story. Looking at what's left, you're probably thinking, hang on, the climax doesn't come in the middle. And of course you're right, it comes at the end. And of course the escalation towards that climactic moment probably isn't completely smooth. Rather, there are various incidents that bump up the tension along the way. And just as we've lost patience with long intros, once the story's over, these days we're done. Plus our postmodern cynicism combined with the commercial value of sequels means that we're now comfortable leaving our heroes in a state of mild tension. So let's shorten the time devoted to the resolution. So this is my diagram of story structure. Something happens to change the characters' lives, to interrupt the stasis. This is sometimes called the inciting incident, and it should usually occur as close to the start as possible. The inciting incident gives the protagonist some new objective. For instance, in my favourite book when I was wee, The Deeds of the Nameless Knight, the hero learns that a damsel is imprisoned in a tower and resolves to rescue her. There are impediments to him achieving this objective, which gives rise to conflict, and the conflict escalates until the tension between opposing forces is at breaking point, at which point there is a climactic battle and the story is resolved. By climax, Freytag was actually referring to some big action that occurs or some big piece of information that's revealed at the midpoint. The midpoint is a really big deal in screenwriting, and most films rely on some decisive transformation at their centre. For instance, in Groundhog Day, after repeatedly being slapped, Bill Murray's character realises that he'll never get the girl if he remains so selfish. In Titanic, the ship hits an iceberg. And we can identify such a moment in many novels too. In Ian Forster's A Passage to India, the midpoint occurs at the Malabar Caves. In Gillian Flynn's Gone Girl, the midpoint occurs when we learn that Amy is still alive. You may also have heard that stories should follow a three-act structure. The first act reveals what's happened, the second act develops the conflict, and the third act delivers a resolution. But you probably don't have to worry too much about that advice, since if you're following the other advice, a three-act structure is kind of inevitable. As David Mamet puts it, dramatic structure is not an arbitrary or even a conscious invention. It is an organic codification of the human mechanism for ordering information. Event, elaboration, denouement. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Another example is the sonata form, widely used in classical music, including Mozart's 40th Symphony. The exposition introduces the main themes. The development expands on those themes, but it feels restless as it moves between keys. And then, in the recapitulation, the music returns to the main themes that were presented at the start. And so it is with most successful narratives. Whatever adventures and subplots you present in the middle section, it is to the main theme that the ending must return. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your writing.